And welcome back to another episode of Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club. I am the Corey C. And I got my back-to-back SWAC champion partners with me, Mike B and the big Aristotle Shaq. What up, fellas?
What up, Corey? What up, Mike B?
What up, fellas? What's up, y'all little family?
Yes, sir. How you feel? How you feel? Again, back-to-back champs. How you feeling?
I can't describe the emotions right now, man. It's a good feeling. 12-0. First time in JSU history. So we got one more to go, man. I'm proud to say that, but it's been a long time coming, man. We've been through a lot since during our days at Jackson State. So, man, what can you say right now?
Yeah, man, it's definitely uncharted waters for me, and it's just a lot of emotion. It's almost surreal because as you mentioned, going back to our days in the honors dorm, we've seen some disappointing nights, some disappointing seasons, some disappointing coaches, and it's all culminated and led up to this, and so it's just surreal because we all knew that JSU had this ceiling, and it was just always unfortunate that we couldn't make the most of it, and we always sort of seem to underachieve. So it's a great feeling to be on top twice.
And man, the team that we did it against, man, couldn't have happened any better than going up against the Jags, especially if you look back at SWAC championship game history. We all remember the inaugural SWAC championship game. I hate to bring that one up, but and then we played them again as well, and it's just heartbreaking losses. So, going down toward the last stretch of the season, we didn't know who we would play, but I know you guys wanted Southern. Yeah, obviously Texas Southern was still in the mix. Looks like probably should have been Prairie View, but I know y'all wanted Southern in the SWAC championship game in Jackson.
I did. Deep down inside you did, and you wanted to go ahead and just give it to him, man. Just dig it in a little bit because that's your arch rival, man, and rightfully so. So it was good to see us. I wish we could have beat the brakes off them a little bit more. I wish we would have scored a little bit more points in the fourth
I wanted that 50
quarter,
piece. I saw that 43 sitting up there. 43 plus 7 is 50.
I wanted the 50 piece.
One more touchdown would have been nice.
Yeah, I wanted the 50 piece, but I got to settle for the 43. But overall, I'm proud of the team. I'm proud with all the distractions that was going on during the week. I'm proud that they put together an almost complete game, with the exception of not having, a game plan for their third string quarterback. I think the defense played admirable, and the offense put up some points, man. So I was proud of the way the team came out to play.
Yeah, I didn't want Southern. I did not want to play Southern because sometimes to me history seems to supersede the current situation. I can tell you, going back to my childhood traumas with this team in Baton Rouge, man. Early 1990s, Lindsey Hunter, flying around Lothridge, all those guys, great team. Played Southern in the championship game, lost. 1999, 2 first-round draft picks. I think 4 players drafted overall. Played Southern in Birmingham, lost.
I cried that game. I cried that game. Yeah. Real talk.
Yeah.
I could be a man about it now, reflect back on it, but I think I shed a couple of tears because I was so mad at how we lost that game.
Yeah,
that one hurt. That one hurt bad.
Yeah, but it's been multiple. Even in baseball, man, it's just for some reason it was just a hump we could never get over, and I had no reason to believe that. I knew we were good enough, but I think I text you guys that day. I'm like, I got a real bad feeling about this game because it's Southern. Not necessarily that we lose, but it'll just be a little bit more challenging than we need it to be. And then we open up with 26 straight points, and then a third string quarterback comes in and makes it all interesting. So I'm like, this is some JSU Southern voodoo right here. So
I hear you.
I'm glad we were able to withstand it.
I hear you, but I'm not feeling it, man, because the difference between this year and all those previous years and these matchups is this team was just far, far superior than Southern. In some of those other matchups, the teams were more evenly matched, if you will. So it could go either way. Now, a lot of times we were better than them, but again, they still would come away with the win somehow. But I just felt like we were so much better than them. I knew we were going to come out on top. And people always I saw this leading up to the game. It's hard to beat a team twice in the season. It's hard to beat a team twice in the season. No, it's not. No, it's not. It may be hard to blow a team out 2 times in one season, but if you're that much more superior than the other team, it's not hard to beat them 2 times in the season. And that was clear. That was clear in the first quarter of this game. Talk about how the defense, I think, man, the defense just really set the tone for the team.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, with those early turnovers by Aubrey Miller, and then a fumble recovery shortly after that on the next drive, they kind of I'm forgetting about Herman Smith and his what I thought should have been a pick six. I thought he crossed the plane.
I don't think so.
No, he
did.
He was
down. Yeah, he was down.
Yeah. But yeah, Gaddy and Miller, they set the tone, man. They came in and played. Then Cameron Silver Craig. A lot of those guys, they came in, usual self, Honey Badger. They came in and they played lights out in that first quarter. And I was concerned too about maybe the team had a lot of distractions in terms of, everything that was going on, around the program and around the school. But they came in locked in, and that was good to see.
Played with a lot of energy, played with a lot of speed and aggression. Man, what can you say about Aubrey though, man? The guy's been a man child.
Gonna miss him
the past 4 or 5 games. Well, you know what? All season for that matter.
No, for the past 2.5 seasons.
Shine these last 4 or 5 games.
Shaq, for the past 2.5 seasons, I say half because of the spring. We can't short him and say last 4 games. This man has been a monster since he set foot on campus.
Yeah, agree. I mean, but he's a turnover machine, man. He's forcing turnovers. He's hitting the gap pretty well. He's putting some nice hits on some of the players. So I thought he played a great game. I thought Gaddy played an excellent game coming off the edge. Mike, your guy, Reagan. He had a nice little game too, coming off the edge. I mean, all of those guys played tremendous, man. And as I said, with the exception of their third string quarterback, getting loose on some runs, which gave him gave the Southern some momentum and gave him some much needed confidence. I hate we couldn't plug up the gaps on that earlier to stop those runs from taking place. I think if we stop those runs from taking place, we demoralize them.
Absolutely. I think just the whole defensive front, man. Mercier, True Thompson, all those guys. True Thompson, he doesn't get enough credit for the way he does block so the linebackers can get out there and eat. And I think that's something we really haven't mentioned all this year because what he does, you don't really see it in the stat sheet. It's just when you watch him play, he's just dominant amongst that offensive line, and he takes up those blocks and allow the linebackers to hit the gaps and do what they do. So it was just a complete team effort, especially in that first quarter. There, a lot of complimentary football.
And it was good to see the offense not start slow. We always have this discussion on the show for our post-game wrap-ups. The offense had it going early. Man, it was so impressive seeing how the ball distribution. It was a number of wide receivers getting involved early in offense. So I want to start with one guy, man, because we've been waiting for him to have a big game this season. But I was very impressed with Rico Powers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Caught some big catches, man. Caught some big catches on the sideline. You know what? The highlight of the game for me is that behind the shoulder throw that Shedeur threw to him. I think that was the third quarter. He catches it on the sideline for a touchdown, and the opposing DB didn't even realize he had the ball until he revealed it to him. And I was like, now it was a big time throw and a big time catch. So, he got a great game, man.
Yeah, we knew he had the potential. He did a great job of separating, finding the soft spots in the defense, and quarterbacks like wide receivers that are open. And he was open pretty much the entire game. Shedeur could have went to him several more times if he wanted to. He was just dominant against that Southern defense.
I mean, he wasn't the only one who was open. The reason why he couldn't go to him more is because there were so many guys that were open. Shane Hooks, 5 catches, 104. 2 touchdowns, doing the usual Shane Hook thing, yak yards after the catch. You know, he makes me nervous though. You know, want to make sure he doesn't fumble when he's fighting for those extra yards. He held on to the rock. Willie Gaines, 7 catches. He's usually a guy who only, you know, he maybe only catches 2 or 3 balls, but they're usually for big gains. Gains, right?
Oh, yeah.
Gains,
Oh, yeah.
right? But 7 catches on the day. Rico Powers, he had 6. Dallas Daniels, 6. So a number of guys caught multiple passes. Kevin Coleman only caught 1 pass. It seemed like he caught more, but I think it was because that one was for a touchdown. But he had how many 2-point conversions did he convert? I think
he converted 2 of them.
Yeah, 2 of them.
Right.
Yeah,
he converted. And if Shedeur throws the ball a little bit more accurate in the first quarter on that bomb that was on down the sideline, you got another touchdown to Kevin Coleman right there.
Yeah, that's the one thing if you're going to complain or gripe about Shedeur, well, you'll say holding on to the ball a little bit too long, but a number of uncharacteristic overthrows. I don't know if he's getting anxious, but he's missed a number of guys deep this season. And I know he's won those balls back. You know, look at the number of touchdowns he's thrown this season. I want to say, 36 on the season?
36.
36. How many touchdowns did he overthrow? How many guys did he miss? I mean, he's
6, 7 of them.
I mean, you talk about over 40. Wow, over 40 touchdowns. And then we talk about the drops as well. That's improved a little bit towards the end of the season. But if you don't have those overthrows, and you don't have those drops, I know every quarterback, every team can say, oh, this, say that. But I mean, it was right there for him. I mean, he had a historic season, but he could have been even more historic just from a number standpoint. So definitely, Shedeur, he fell short in that Connolly Trophy ceremony though, Mike. We talk about what is it about the SWAC? What is it about the HBCU? Mike said he doesn't even think Steve McNair would have won it back in the day. I told him Jerry Rice or Walter Payton either.
None of them. They wouldn't have given it to any of them. Yeah, exactly. It's just like I said, they should just rename it the award for every school but Jackson State, Valley, and Alcorn, because none of us will win it. I think even the Delta State guy got it one year, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, Josh Bright.
Josh Bright. Yeah, quarterback. Yeah. So
it's amazing.
Yeah. Hey, make what you want of that, but yeah, Shedeur, great season. If you want to call it a sophomore slump, I guess that's a sophomore slump. He overthrew a couple of passes, but I'll take that. I'll take that all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
By 2.
Definitely, man. Great atmosphere. The game crowd for me was a little bit disappointing. I would have liked for it to have been all the way packed, but I think I don't think the Jags did their part. I think a lot of them stayed at home because they knew what was going to happen. They decided not to make that trip. So I definitely would have liked 60,000 people in the vet for the SWAC championship, but we'll take it nonetheless.
Yeah. Would have been nice to have them come out and support the city and at the end of the game, we can, all tell them to go home. But, I understand, they lost the game before they even stepped on the field. And I like that. I prefer it that way. So, a lower fan attendance comes along with that. I'll accept that. But just to know that, like Coach Prime said, that's dominance, and that's what we did. We dominated the entire game. They had their moments, as Shaq mentioned, McDaniel came in the game and played very well. I think in the past he started for Southern. He's got some experience there, so he's played a good bit of football. So was not surprised to see him play to that level, to make the game interesting for the remaining 3 quarters. But no, it was a wrap before they even got on the field.
Did you get nervous when they cut it to 12?
No,
I really not really.
I knew it was a matter of time before we made some plays.
And here's the reason why I didn't get nervous. And when I'm watching Jackson State play, the first thing that I look at is the line play. I'm always looking at the offensive line and defensive lines and to see who's winning that battle. And at the start of the first quarter, it was no doubt that our O-line was better than their D-line. There was clearly evident to me. And then as the game progressed, it became even more apparent. And then I'm looking at our D-line against their O-lines, and they could not block us for more than 3. I mean, we even in sometimes less than 3 seconds. But there was a lot of holding that I felt didn't get called in this game. And I honestly think because of the way the game was going, the refs didn't want it to be like a severe blowout, like because then that's boring to the viewers. But you could tell that a lot of holding didn't get called in this game that should have been called. But it is what it is. But our D line manhandled their O line the entire game, and I think as the game progressed and you really started to see the adjustments that were made in terms of schemes, you really saw that Southern just didn't have an answer for us.
Yeah, it was a lot of jersey pull that went uncalled, but hats off to McDaniels. He did make some plays with his feet. One read, two read, take off, and we really did not have an answer for it. But I knew we'd eventually settle down and we'll make some plays. This is a defense that's going to make a play. You're not going to prevent that. It's only a matter of time before there's a turnover or a tackle for loss or a big play. Maybe a holder call that kind of gets them behind the chains. But I wasn't really worried about that once they got within 12 points. I knew what this team is capable of, and I knew it's not uncommon for us to experience a lull through the duration of a game. It's happened several times throughout the season, but the resiliency of this team, and that's just a testament to the coaches and to the players themselves. I knew that they would be able to dig deep and eventually make a play. So when they got within 12 points, I wasn't too much concerned at all. Now, if they had got another touchdown, I probably would have had some concerns there, but I didn't think it'd get that close.
I will say this: I was screaming at the TV and livid when Willie Gaines muffed that punt. I was livid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think that's like the fourth muff punt he's had this season, right?
I guess if you want to pick one weakness for this team, is just those minimal mistakes, the muff punts, the drops, the lack of concentration, the lack of focus, false starts, some of the frivolous penalties that you can do without. That's been a common theme with this team throughout the year, but luckily we have the talent and the skill set to overcome it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now if you look at the numbers for this game, if you didn't watch it, you just looked at the numbers, it would have, you would thought the game was a lot closer from an overall yardage standpoint. Jackson State had 439, Southern 412, so that was pretty much a wash. Definitely from a passing standpoint, we outdid them by a huge margin, but rushing, they outrushed us. They were right at 200 yards. We were only at 119, but a lot of that had to do with our success in the passing game. They actually outscored us throughout the final 3 quarters of the game. It obviously was 26-0 in the first quarter, so we got a big lead, but as far as the final 3 quarters, they outscored us 24-17.
And that core, that's like the largest the largest yardage that we've given up in rushing and passing throughout the season, right?
Yep. I think they danced through for like 220. I think before that we hadn't allowed the quarterback to pass for more than 200 yards. Southern made some plays. They went to Travis Hunter and able to pick up a couple of first downs. I got to give them credit. They came out here and they tested our defense. They had every reason to throw in the towel when they were down 26-0. You can look at their demeanor on the sidelines. It looked like they all but giving up. But then they made a QB change, and you got to give credit to Dooley and his staff and Southern for coming out there and competing for the remainder of the game.
So you're giving credit to Southern, rightfully so, but I wanted to stop and take the time to give some credit to our guys as well. Given the circumstances that they were playing, and with this game, obviously all the noise, it's the elephant in the room. I think it kind of overshadowed the game itself. It didn't feel like a SWAC championship. It was just something was missing. It was a weird energy just throughout the day. The post-game ceremony was just a little bit just off. I mean, I think we all knew why. It was just weird. So, for the players to kind of go through that, they've been hearing it just like us, but to really, just strap on those boots and just go to work and come out, out of the gates. And we were wondering, like, how would they respond to everything that they had been hearing? Yeah. So kudos to them, but let's get to it, fellas. Coach Prime, we knew it was coming. We heard the rumors. Internally, we kind of knew ourselves, but obviously it was kind of made official the night before the game, that Friday night. So let's just talk about the exit, and then let's just kind of reflect back on his time at Jackson State.
Well, obviously bittersweet. So you're appreciative of the time, the exposure, and the opportunities that were made available for this team, for the university as a whole. Obviously, you gotta like the amount of players that Jackson State were able to attract to the university because of Prime, and obviously some of the NIL deals and exposure and just opportunities overall for these kids to see what it's like to be a part of a big program. Not to say that Jackson State couldn't do that beforehand, but Prime is a machine in itself. That's a um, uh, it's almost like a machine that's relentless. It has so many moving parts and components from a branding and marketing standpoint that it's just hard to overcome. So having that exposure, having that opportunity for those kids to experience that is undoubtedly going to be the highlight probably of some of their lives, other than probably going to the NFL. So I'm happy for that. On the bitter side, I kind of hate the timing of this, especially it's centered around the SWAC championship game, one of the inaugural games of Jackson State's history in terms of what we've been able to accomplish this season, but also combined with us going into the Celebration Bowl. So I understand it's a business. We all knew that, and we all knew that at some point, this story in this chapter was going to end. But the book doesn't close here, because there's still some momentum that we have as a university and the football team going into this Celebration Bowl, and obviously going into a name of the next head football coach. So for that matter, I'm excited. We thank Coach Prime for everything that he's been able to do for the university and for this football team. Wish him nothing but the best, and wish him well in his next endeavor. And we'll see how, the cookie crumbles at the end.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what I didn't like first. I didn't like how the last 24 hours of it all kind of unfolded. You were hearing all these things, and you're seeing these tweets about, flight itineraries and everything popping up. This is just hours before the game. So I'm wondering how the kids are going to react to it. And then they come out, they play well. Then after the game, there's the ceremony. And there was this, expedited demeanor from Coach Prime, rightfully so, because he did have a fight to catch. He had somewhere to be. But for the kids who have just won a SWAC championship, this is a highlight. This is something you'll never forget. A lot of those guys on the team, they weren't there last year, so this is their first time they get the experience of conference championship. And you can't do it with your coach there, with the fanfare and with the pageantry that goes along with it. With the SWAC commission coming out and handing you the trophy. For them, it was all a wash almost. I know the ceremony did go on, but it was kind of all a wash. And he went and spoke to the team. I thought that was very noble, because let's be honest, there's some coaches that don't even do that. You see some coaches come to these programs, they sell the kids a dream, they tell them they're going to be there to the end. The next thing you know, there's a press conference, and the kids find out that way. So I do like that he took the time to talk to the kids in the program, but overall, I just don't like the way the whole thing went down. Now, as far as the Coach Prime era goes, totally appreciative. I'm totally grateful. All I ask is that when the coach comes in, is that he leaves the program in a better position it was before he arrived. Now, we've been through several coaches where that did not happen. So I just want everybody to just kind of reflect on that and what the presence of Coach Prime has done for Jackson State, and the attention that it's brought to us through social media, through all these different avenues. Good Morning America, College Game Day. That's not something you could just throw away and tarnish because of how things unfolded at the end. It happens all the time in college football. It's a business, so we have to treat it as such and respect it as such. So I'm more than appreciative of that from him. What he's meant for. Some of these kids who are on the team. You think of Warren Newman and the stage of the program when he came in as to how his college career ended. Very appreciative of that. So there's no reason for us to hang our heads. We have a great opportunity ahead of us. We're at the pinnacle here. We've shown that coming from an HBCU, you can get the Power 5 job. I know one of my goals for this program, like it or not, Jack State, as much as we love it, it's an FCS program. This is not where a lot of coaches aspire to be. This is where you come, you prove yourself. You hopefully you have a good tenure here, and then you move on to better things if that's what you wish, if that's what you plan, for your career path. So to see him come in and do that, that just sends a sign and resonates to other coaches who might be interested in getting this job. So that makes a lot of more coaches available to us to say, hey, you can come to Jack State and get to where you need to be. And if they go to where they need to be, if they want to be at a Power 5 school, that's totally fine, because that means that they were winning here. And that's what I care about, winning. So, we're going to usher in the next coach and hopefully keep this thing going.
Well said.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so much controversy around this. It's a national story, how he left. When, it's funny because coaches leave programs all the time, but rarely is it, I don't know. I don't ever remember it being a national story when a coach, decided to leave, especially when he went, quote unquote, up. Right, because that's the norm. But it was on the Breakfast Club. It was on every ESPN. Not just talking about the fact that he's at Colorado, but they talked about the fact that he left Jackson State. So that says a lot. And again, I know a lot of people are upset for different reasons. They go back to his press conference, what he said, all the things that he quote unquote promised. They don't feel as though he stayed to fulfill those things. And I'm not here to debate that or change anyone's mind. But, I just, when I say controversy, so one example was the post-game press conference, the customary post-game press conference that he didn't do. He didn't show up, right? A lot of people were upset about that, and rightfully so. They wanted him to quote unquote face the music. We know what question was going to be asked, and everyone was waiting for that. I think that the college football world was waiting on that, and no Coach Prime. But to let you guys know what actually happened, I was in the room, right? Coach Dooley was up. He was being interviewed, and first of all, it was like a sardine can in there. There's never been that many people in there. Now this happens during the fifth quarter, so the boom is playing. The bands are battling back and forth. So we closed that door, and it's still loud. You can still barely hear who's talking because it's not far from the field. So there's a knock on the door, or somebody's trying to get in the door, but we're not going to let anyone in while Coach Dooley's talking, right? But they continue to try to get in. And someone finally cracked the door open. And guess who it was? I'm going to let you guys guess.
Coach Prime.
Coach Prime. He was trying to actually get in, right? But in the middle of the interview, so they told him, no, Coach is still going. So he left, and it went on another 10, 15 minutes. So now we're ready for Coach Prime. And that's when we got word that he was leaving, or he left because he had a team meeting. Now we know that he had a flight to catch. So, of course, he was on the
He was on the schedule.
He was on the schedule. But in his defense, he did show up. He did show up. Now you may argue and say, well, yeah, but he didn't come back. Well, the man had a flight to catch, which if you're a Jackson State fan, it's going to piss you off even more because he had a flight to catch. So it's really a no-win situation, right? But at the end of the day, but back to what I was saying, man, just from his time here, I look at it like this, man. It had you, because you touched on it, man. The state of this program a few years ago, we were in a very, very bad place, and it seems like we couldn't get out of it. We had a string of unsuccessful coaches, right? And every time, we let go of a coach and there was a new coaching search, we got our hopes up. Okay, we're going to get it right this time. And then we blow it. All right, we're going to get it right this time. Then we blow it. So we were really, I don't want to say desperate, but we really need a breath of fresh air, some positivity injected into the football program. And Coach Prime was that. So if you were to tell me back because he was here for 2 years, if you think about it, he officially started in December 2020. And now he's gone December 2022. So had you told me back then that, hey, you guys are going to Coach Prime, Deion Sanders is going to come and be your coach for 2 years. This is what he's going to do, right? You're going to get 2 SWAC championships, 2 Celebration Bowl appearances. Hopefully we'll win this one. So 1 win, right? He's going to sign #1 recruit in the entire country. X amount of 4 stars. You're going to go undefeated in season 2, and you're going to be on Good Morning America, College Game Day, 60 minutes. A new practice field, and just on and on. I'm leaving plenty of things out. You said, first of all, if you told me that, I'd tell you crazy, because Deion Sanders is not going to come coach us. That's number one. Yeah. Secondly, if you were to convince me that he would come for 2 years, I'd say, well, he can't do all that in 2 years. That's like a 4 or 5 year plan for all of that to happen based on where the program was at. So There's no way it's going to happen. But if you somehow convince me that he come here and he can get all that done in 2 years, but he was going to leave for a Power 5 gig after 2 years, will I take it? Would you have taken that back then?
Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You'll take
Yes,
that.
absolutely.
So why are we so upset now?
I think there's a variety of reasons why some fans are upset, because everybody internalizes Prime's arrival to Jackson State differently based upon their emotional connection to whatever he said during his initiation to our program. And you know what? To each their own. I'm not in here to debate someone's personal expressions or emotions on how they internalize that. But for me, even if I would have known that that was going to be the end game, I'm still happy about it, because life is about ebbs and flows. It's a constant up and down that we go through in any type of involvement of life circumstances. Football is no different, and going through coaches is no different. So it's just following the natural cycle and elements of things. So consider this SWAC championship run that we've had for 2 in a row, and going to the Celebration Bowl twice. Hopefully it ends with a win. And, we consider that a flow. But the ebb is we got to switch coaches and then continue to drive up more momentum going into the recruitment offseason, and then with the season starting on next year. So hopefully we'll get into a flow then, or whoever our next head coach is going to be, and continue to bring that momentum and take it with us, and continue to kind of, build the program up even higher. But from where we were 2 years ago compared to now, I think we can all agree it's like night and day, right? Mm-hmm. You got 2 practice fields out of it. You got a training table out of it. You got we called it a turf field. You got a new locker room for the kids.
The facilities now, I will say the facility that was in the works prior to Coach Prime. Now,
facilities were in the works.
As far as him donating half his salary or however that story goes to make sure we get it done, and I'm pretty sure he had some input to make it probably better than it was going to be. So I don't want to take credit away from him, but that was going to happen. But go on, Shaq.
And then you got exposure for the program.
That was my thing.
You got Good Morning America. You got College Game Day. You got a plethora of football games that was on ESPN. I think all of our games were on ESPN with the exception of maybe 2, right? Mm-hmm. 2 total. Mm-hmm. So I mean, we got a lot out of this from an exposure and visibility standpoint that is gonna add some much needed momentum to our university and the football program. Now, how we utilize that momentum,
how we take
visibility and exposure is up to us. Mm-hmm. And we have to be the best, we have to make the best and wisest decisions going forward on how we utilize it for our benefit. And so that's what I'm anxious to see with our administration, and obviously with some of the fans and supporters and boosters that are supporting the program, to see how we come together, even with the leaving of Prime now, how we come together and make this thing work for Jackson State.
Yeah, and that's what I was alluding to when I said this is a great opportunity for us. And I get it. A lot of fans are upset. As Shaq mentioned, when Coach Prime came in, there was a lot of fanfare. A lot of things he said at his introduction press conference, and there are a lot of fans that just expected him to be this savior who's just gonna, sort through all of, the shortcomings that we experience at HBCUs, because we get it. We're underfunded. We're understaffed. We don't get treated as fairly as some of the other institutions. So we expect the Coach Prime to just come in and push all that to the side and just take us as we are and just be the coach for a number of years. But that's not always the case. I think it begins with us as alumni to make this program what it needs to be. We can't just depend on one man, and a lot of times we tend to do that in our community. Not to get off on a tangent there, but we tend to put all the burdens on one person and just expect them to carry their burdens, and that's not fair to him. It was never fair to him. So now that he's leaving, there's a bit of disappointment, there's a bit of heartbreak. But again, we're not victims here. We're not victims at all. We are a great institution. We have a great opportunity ahead of us. We are a top tier FCS program that can lead to a position with a Power Five if that's what you want. And so it's up to us to leverage that and support that as an alumni base and as a city.
Yeah, and I want to go back to something that Shaq talked about when he was talking about some of the things that Coach Prime brought to the table. He talked about just that exposure, being on the 60 Minutes College Game Day, but just that brand awareness now of Jackson State's a national brand. You can't really put a price tag on that. You talk about the marketing value. I'll be interested to see a study of what that, would look like from if you had to pay for that to build up your brand, what that value would be, what that cost would be. And I know Mike can attest as well, being, in Orlando, and I've been in Orlando, and, we've always worn our Jackson State gear, and, we get the looks and the stops, but, yeah. Well, I mean, no, not, outside of our people, the guy with the FAMU shirt, right? You get a few here and there, right?
Yeah.
But now, like myself, living in a, mostly white neighborhood, my vehicles always had Jackson State decals, and no one ever noticed. But when after Coach Prime was named head coach, or during the past couple of years, those white neighbors who always walk by in the evening, walking the dog or going for the walk, who always would speak, "Hey, how you doing?" and "Hey, how's it going?" and kind of keep it moving. Mm-hmm. Seeing the truck now, like, oh, Jackson State, Jackson State. Wow, Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, he's doing such a great thing. Those conversations, right? They're recognizing, what we're doing, and oh, he took a recruit from us. He beat us out for a recruit. So again, that exposure is just, again, you can't place a value on it. So now this is a critical time for us. This next coaching hire is crucial, because we have to capitalize. We have to take advantage of the momentum if we get it right. When we get it right, because A.D. Robinson has something up his sleeve. When he gets it right, the plan is for the next coach to take what Coach Prime, what he brought to the table, what he built, and continue moving forward, and even take it to another level. Now, there's only one Coach Prime. He's one of one. We get it, but obviously he's laid the blueprint. He's put us in a position to really capitalize on it. So it's up to us to move forward, because we knew he wasn't going to be here forever. If he stayed another year, we'd be having the same conversation. We'd be disappointed. Like, how long did he have to stay for us to say, okay, now you can go, Coach Prime? I don't know if we would ever gotten to that point. So this is a crucial point for us to take advantage of the momentum.
And this is overall a learning experience for our university and also the city overall, because this is an opportunity for the city to see the impact that it can have on our program as well, by coming together and forming some, programs to help boost and help supplement coaching salaries and just unify the city overall and the surrounding counties and so forth. So again, taking the emotions out of it, this is an opportunity for us to really unite.
Absolutely. And so, Shaq, I want to throw it back to a conversation that you, Ken, and Zoe had. It became a series just, for Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club, just this, shifting of the top athletes from going to, perennial powerhouses, Power 5 schools, and potentially shifting back to HBCUs. And one thing that you said on the episode, you guys kind of pinpointed the turning point, because obviously back in the days, the African-American athletes, the top flight athletes, went to Jackson State. Yeah, so a lot of them went to Jackson State, went to HBCUs, right? But you pinpointed this game, USC versus Alabama, that shifted everything. And in a term that you use, it stands out to me. It resonates. I can hear your voice. You said that game was like a death blow almost to HBCUs. You did kind of walk it back and say, well, not a death blow completely, because HBCUs have continued to strive and do great things and produce a lot of great athletes since then. But it really was a turning point. So I want to ask you now, is with Coach Prime moving on to the Power 5 level, could that be equally a death? I hate to say death blow, right? But could that be similar in terms of the momentum that HBCUs had in terms of getting these top flight athletes? Could that be potentially a death blow? I hate to
Yes
put
and
you on the
no.
spot, but
Yeah, I'm gonna answer that question honestly. Yes and no. And here's the yes part. The machine of marketing and branding and the recognition that Prime comes with, it's gone. So that's a negative. We all have to acknowledge that. But you mentioned something earlier about the exposure, the visibility. No, we can't go back in time and undo any of our involvements on 60 Minutes, Good Morning America, ESPN, College Game Day. We can't undo any of that. So that's going to remain a staple and concrete in society in the future for going forward in our history. What we have to get right now to continue to keep that momentum is the next head coach. And if we make the right hire,
when
get
we
the
make the
right
right
type of
hire.
support. No, hold on, change that. When we make the right hire and get some much needed support from the businesses and from within Jackson, and we really start to work on us collectively, the change is coming. This train is not going to stop. And I really meant that when I said it was a paradigm shift. And it is. Regardless if it doesn't happen as quickly as
Quickly.
we want it to happen, the truth is we're already starting to see some of the fruits of our labor start to be revealed in terms of some of the teams that we were able to beat this year. I think the SWAC had its best out of conference results in the last decade. So teams that historically we never beat, not only just in the SWAC but MEAC as well, teams that we've never historically beat, we're starting to beat them. North Carolina Central beat New Hampshire.
It's trickling over into
Jackson State,
basketball too, Shaq.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, really in basketball.
yeah, really in basketball. Jackson State beats Camp. I mean, there were times amongst ourselves when we used to talk and say, when we go out of conference, we're gonna lose. When we go play a PWI, it was almost like we automatically
A foregone
labeled that
conclusion.
school as a loss on the schedule.
Right. Well, so one thing that I don't think will be reversed or undone is just the uptick in recruiting, conference wide, HBCU wide. HBCU coaches aren't afraid to offer the 3-star, the 4-star, the 5-star. That's not going to stop now that Deion Sanders is at a
That's
Power
correct.
5. They're going to continue to do it. Our
They're going to
coach,
continue to
whoever our next
exactly.
coach is, he has to do it. Right? You don't have a choice now because you're going to get left in
Yeah.
the dust. So you're going to, and we always said it, this goes back 20, 30 years where we say you have to put the offer out there. You're not going to get them all, but you may get one here and there. And I think that's going to continue. And these schools are going to continue to offer these kids, and they're going to continue to land some of them, and hopefully more. But the level of competition will definitely continue to remain at an all-time high.
We've always said on our podcast that our unity is our wealth. And I'm going to continue to pound that drum and continue saying that going forward because it's true. So when we make the right hire and we can unite behind that coach and get the communities to unite and get the businesses, I don't want to bring state legislator in this, but can I just say, can y'all get y'all stuff together, please? State legislator.
All right, that's what we cut. We're about to get in trouble. I tell you what, this is what I do. I'll pause it right there because I don't want to be associated with getting in trouble. So I'll let you get your crew together. You, Kenzo, we'll bring y'all back. Continue the conversation. Y'all get in trouble like y'all always do. Leave me out of it.
Man, I get you, man.
Let's cut it.
Yeah.
SWAC champions. JSU back to back.
Yeah.
SWAC champions. Coach Pryor. I almost said Coach Sanders all of a sudden. Coach Pryor, we thank you for everything you've done. We wish you the best. No hard feelings on my end. I'm just, I'm happy for you to get it. If your only purpose was to come here and turn this thing around,
you did it.
You did it. So it's on us.
Yeah.
From here on out. So any final parting words, fellas?
Same thing, man. Just a big kudos to Coach Prime. I wish him well on his endeavors in Colorado. Again, the only thing I ask is that you make the program better than it was when you got here, and he definitely did that by leaps and bounds. So I can't be upset with that. I'm disappointed that it ended a year or two sooner than I would have liked it. But he was, jumping at leaps and bounds. So again, I'm not surprised that another school would want that kind of persona associated with their program. So they came with a
Absolutely. I'm
bigger
surprised
bag.
it
And
took
it
so
is what
long,
it
to
is.
be honest. I'm surprised that it took so long. If I was a Power 5 AD, I would have gone after him after the year one because nothing else. He showed you what he could do from a recruiting standpoint with the resources that they have. Obviously, he could surround himself with an amazing staff. I remember when I first was told that Coach Prime was going to be our coach. First, again, I didn't believe it, but it was from a source that has never been wrong when it came to Jackson State. So, and I was thinking, first thing I said was, we can't afford it, right? That's the first thing I said. Naive me, but
Yeah.
and this source started to tell me, well, everybody's not going to be excited about this, and I said, why? Why wouldn't? Well, he's never coached before, and this is what I said. I said, listen, I don't know if he can coach. I said, but it's not even going to matter. I said, I don't even
It's about
care.
recruiting.
I said, Deion Sanders, back then he was Deion Sanders. He is going to out recruit everyone else. He's going to out talent everyone else. If he can coach, that's a bonus. That's a plus. And he's smart enough to surround himself with assistants because your assistant's going to make or break you anyway. Right. So if
That's
he
true.
is a great head coach, and again, I didn't know if he would be or not. I said, it's not going to matter. I said, Deion, now, did I think he was going to go get Travis Hunter, the number one player? No. So he exceeded my expectation, and I already knew he was going to out recruit anyone. So again, Coach Prime, we thank you for what you did. We wish you the best. Shedeur Sanders, his name will ever be in the record book, so that'll always be there. We'll ever have that tie, but again, it's up to us to keep the train, and AD Ashley Robinson will do that. So that's pretty much it, fellas. Thank you for another great episode of Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club. Before I go, I got to do this, right? I've never done this. We're right at 300 episodes in, right? We'll coming up on our 300 episode any day now. And I haven't done this, but Mike B, and I didn't ask him to do this. I didn't, we didn't plan this, but he did it. So I got to point it out. I said, what's that over your shoulder, Mike? It looks like I see a book. What is that book I see on the shelf?
Yeah. You see this? I'm gonna tell you, Tiger fans, you want to support the Jackson State alumnus, go out and purchase this book. Life is easy, we make it hard. By the Corey C. Corey Collins. Now, Corey, you go ahead and tell them where they can find this book. Where can they purchase this?
It's everywhere. It's on Amazon. It's on all the spots. But for my people, for my Tiger fans, for my listeners, if you need a copy, hit me up. Just message me through Tiger Talk, Facebook, Instagram for your autographed copy, and I'll send it to you. So appreciate that, Mike.
Guys, it's a great read. It's a page turner. You're going to learn a lot about yourself. Corey makes it so relatable. He takes personal stories in his life and tell you how you can equate that to your life to become the best version of yourself. It's a great book, great read. I've read it 2 times already, and so I definitely recommend it.
I appreciate that, man.
Good stuff, gentlemen. Good stuff.
Not a shameless plug. I've never mentioned it in the 3 years. We're going on 3 years this month, Mike. Crazy.
Yeah.
3 years.
I know.
Right. 3 years of podcasting. So I never mentioned it in the 3 years, but since he had it on the bookshelf, I had to call it out. So Tiger fans, if you want an autographed copy, just hit me up. Actually, hit me up at the Corey C, Instagram or Twitter, and I will definitely hook that up. So, fellas, we will see you in Atlanta for this Black College National Championship. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. I love, baby.